Good morning, everyone. I've been thinking about today's topic of organization because I was working with a client yesterday that they're just so far off from the organization that they need, and they don't understand how much it's costing their business on a daily, weekly, monthly business basis. And I think they're coming around to understanding that, being busy doesn't mean being profitable or being successful. And, of course, that's something that we sometimes mistake. We think if we're running around like crazy, we're busy every minute, we must be doing a great job at our job. But the reality is not everyone who's successful is running around like crazy all the time. A lot of people succeed by being able to be more organized than others. So I'm going to talk about this topic of organization today. It's kind of a pickup from where we were last week when we were talking about habits and routines. Habits and routines and organization, from my point of view, are really closely linked because habits and routines are a form of organization within our business. It's an organized action, let's say, right? It's an intentional and purposeful action that fits together with other actions in a way that creates a desirable and attractive result. If you think about a business fundamentally, one way to think about it is it's nothing more than an accumulation or a combination of information and people and their skills and experience. And so you put the people and various information together, and if you do it right, you can provide value to the marketplace. It doesn't matter what business you're in. And so a question to ask yourself is, how organized is all of the interaction between the people and the information in my business? Is one person working on this market, another person working on that market, and nobody's working on this market? Maybe it's not good organization for how you particularly cover a geographic area. Or do we have some great tools, but we don't know where to find them in our drive or in our system because we're just not organized at all, and therefore we can't pull up the document at the moment that we need it when a client asks for it? Or how do we assess how much tax we need to pay for something? How can we make an estimate about that if we don't know our financial situation, right? All this stuff is part and parcel of the business. And we have to organize all of that information and all of the activities and the people in a way that creates our intended outcome, serving clients, having them so happy that we're there to provide this service for them and tell all their friends to come to us too. So let's talk a little bit more about organization today, and we'll expand our conversation from last week in a little bit by doing so. Okay, so one inescapable truth about organization that's important for all of us to remember is this: proper organization saves time, aligns resources, and reduces stress. Lack of organization wastes time, costs more money, and increases stress. Now, I've been working with agents for, about 6 years now, and I can tell you most of the people, most of the time, seem to feel like their time is wasted with one thing or another. They end up not maximizing the value of money in their business in one way or another, and they're stressed out 80% of the time. And so part of the solution here might be rethinking how you organize yourself and your business. This is one of the principles because it matters as strongly as all the others. And it's one that I see people tend to dismiss a little bit. They're like, okay, yeah, I'll get organized one of these days when I get around to it. But, that's kind of a nice to have. It's not a need to have. But as long as you're not organized within your business, you are costing yourself time or money and stress. So what do you need to organize? Well, in the business, of course, everything, in a sense, the simple answer is everything needs to be organized. But if you think about it a little bit, and you kind of break it out into different categories, you get something like this. You need to manage the information that's related to your prospects or clients. You need to manage information that's connected to your interactions with them. When did you speak with them? What did you talk about? What is it that they need from you tomorrow or next Tuesday or 3 weeks from today? We talked last time about calendars being important to organize your time and budgets being important to organize your finances. But then we get to some other stuff that's also part of business. It's not necessarily directly client-facing. Processes. Some of you have really good checklists for what you need to do. Some of you have really good seller's guides, buyer's guides. You can hand to a client, they know exactly what's going to happen. And honestly, we all know that most clients, and at least the average client out there, has no idea, can't even begin to understand all the things that you do for them over the course of your work with them in exchange for the commission that you charge. And so processes, how you do things is important. Intended outcomes, this is a huge one. When I ask people, so, what are your plans for next year? What's your kind of goal for next year? All they generally give me is, well, I'll try to beat last year by 3% or 5%. And that's it. Is that the only goal? Is there something else that's important to you to inculcate into your business or to grow in your business? Or is it just, I'll keep doing what I'm doing. I'll just hopefully try to do it 2 or 3 or 5% better. And if you work with others on a team, does everyone have the same understanding of what the priorities and goals are? This is something I see across teams, not just in real estate, but in all the organizations that I've worked with in the last 20 years as a coach and consultant, is people think they're on the same page with the goals, but they're not. So for any of you, can you just raise your hands? For any of you who works with someone else who's within your business, please raise your hand just so I can get a sense. Anybody who's not just independent all by yourself. 1, 2, 3. Okay. 4. Thank you. So some of you folks have that kind of a situation. What I want you to do is when you have a chance, sit down with your team, give everybody a piece of paper, and just ask them this simple question. What are our current team's goals in priority order? Ask it exactly like that. What are our current team goals in priority order? And have everybody write down what they believe, give them 2 or 3 minutes, whatever they need, and then have them read it back. If your team is truly aligned, if you really are organized from that point of view, everyone will say the same thing. Our first goal is this. Our second goal is this. Our third goal is this, in that order. When I do this with organizations, what is a shock to everybody is they can't believe that people see completely different goals. Some people think you have 2 goals. Some people think you have 3. Some people think you have 4. Some people think this is the most important one. Somebody else thinks this is the most important one. There's not clear alignment or organization across the team about something as important as the goals. And so whether you have a TC or you work with other agents or you, in a sense, your vendors are sometimes your partners as well, everyone needs to understand what your goals are. Colleague inputs. What are the roles of the people that you work with? If I asked you to write down the role of your partner, write down a piece of paper, and then I went to your partner and I say, please write down what your role is. If I compared those 2 lists, would they be exactly the same? If not, it means you're out of alignment. In a sense, you're not organized as far as that goes. And of course, daily business practices. That is, how often do we meet? What information do we share? Do we have check-ins? If so, for what purpose? Who's involved in decision-making? Who gets to weigh in? Who gets to make the final call? This stuff is part and parcel of collaborating with other people. So for any of you who are in that position, you need to know that organization extends to those kinds of things too. So when you look at this list, you can see that there's actually a lot to organize in a business, even a small business. Even if you're an independent operator and you don't have a lot of other people you depend on, still a lot of these things apply. And when I look at the businesses of the agents that I talk with one-on-one, I find typically that some of these areas are pretty well organized and other areas maybe less so. Please put into the chat any of these areas that you feel that your business is not as organized as you might like it to be or it could be. CRM and processes. Who else? Finance, intended outcomes, and daily practices. Yep, these are all important elements. And chances are, if you really look at your business with a bit of a critical eye, you'll find more than one. It's not uncommon at all. In fact, it's most common that most people have 2, 3, 4 different areas. Time, processes, daily practices, intended outcomes. And so organization means everyone has the right information that they need to do what they need to do in the best way possible, in a timely manner, all of that stuff. And we're all aligned or on the same page when we're working together with others regarding goals or practices or even our processes. Thank you. So what prevents organization from happening? Well, there's 3 or 4 things that are primary, that are quite common. This is what I see time after time after time. One, there's a lack of clarity. We haven't actually spent the time to sit down, think it through, write it down in black and white, so that we can look at it and other people that we work with can look at it and be on the same page. That's one. Second is procrastination. That's the classic. I know it's important, but I won't get to it now because. I've got something else right now that's more important to me so that I'd really like to get to it, but I can't. Third, of course, inconsistency. We might do something for a certain period of time, but we tend not to do it as much as we need to do it to get the benefit of doing it in the first place. That's a very common one. And fourth, avoidance. Avoidance is similar to procrastination, but it's a little bit different. Procrastination is, yeah, I know I really need to do it, but I'm not going to do it right now. Avoidance is, it's not so important. And basically, if I just focus on my clients, everything will be fine in my business. So let me ask you, again, put into the chat if any of these or which one of these are part of what might be operating in your business to some degree. And you can just put down number 1, number 2, number 3, or number 4, or whatever the combination is if you like. Number 2, lack of clarity, inconsistency, all of them for different parts. Sure. 2 and 3, 1, 3, 4, 2 and 4. Ugh, too many. Thank you, Donna. And 4. Yep. 3 and 4. Got it. So I hope everyone can see by looking at the chat that you're not alone here, right? You may say, gosh, I probably could do a better job of that. The good news is everybody else is in the same boat, which means, and this is something that I said last week, organization becomes a competitive advantage for you. It becomes a differentiator. If you can do this better than the competition out there, you're more likely to be more successful than your competition is because you have the information your client needs when they ask for it. Because you remember you've organized something that 6 months ago, you haven't talked to your client in 6 months, but today is the day that they're going to, I don't know, have that facial surgery or whatever it is, right? The information that you need when you need it is there in the form that you need it, or you give it to your client. Every time we don't do these things, it ends up costing our business thereafter until we do better. So what can we do to promote organization in a general sense? One, we need to reflect. We need to spend some time in reflection. If you spend every minute of your working life simply running around like a chicken, trying to get things done, you're missing a piece of what it means to be, what your business is all about. What are the business goals? What is your brand? If I ask you right now, tell me, what's your brand in 3 words, in 5 words? Can you tell me? Kind of, I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe. Well, if it's not really clear to you, maybe spend some time in proper reflection. 2, write it down. This is a crucial step that most people overlook. They think it's okay to just have your goals in mind or have your process in mind or have some kind of a decision-making mechanism or something in mind. But when you're forced to write it down, it forces you to get really clear about what that is. That's why it's a crucial step. So write down those things. Third, doing the best you can right now. Sometimes we're waiting for the perfect time to do something, but almost always the perfect time doesn't come at the right time for us. And so one thing we can do is look at how we can do what we can with what we have right now. Some of my clients operate on what I call a 5-minute job list. And I started doing this a long time ago and I've shared it with some clients. Some clients find it very helpful, others don't. It's a 5-minute job list. That is any job that you can do within 5 minutes or less. And you write it down. You can have one for your business. You can have one for your personal life. In 5 minutes, you could, I don't know, contact one client or a past client. In 5 minutes, you could update 3 names on your CRM. In 5 minutes, you could make a contact with that new staging company that you've been thinking about reaching out to for the last 3 weeks. Right? There's lots of little jobs that you can do in 5 minutes. And if you have a list of them and the list is handy, again, organized, then you might be able to just do them whenever you get to them. That's one particular tactic that you can use. And of course, the fourth one, consistency. There's so many outcomes in business and in life that require consistency. If you want to lose 20 pounds, you're not going to get there overnight. If you want to learn how to play the piano or speak German, you're not going to get there overnight. There's certain things within the business world, of course, as well. To be able to have clients calling you on a regular basis in the future to give you referrals requires your consistent contact with them over time now. And so when we don't do that, we're literally cutting ourselves off from that particular outcome that we would like to have a year or 2 years down the road, which is called referrals. And so we have to build into our system an organized process for doing the right things when they need to get done. And of course, we do get taken off our game sometimes. Anything can happen in real estate. We know that. But if it's always happening all the time in real estate, you're hurting yourself. You need to find a balance between what your calendar says and what's coming up for you that you may or may not think is the crisis of the day. So these are some things that can help you if you are organized in these ways. So what is the principle? Very simple. Here's a simple way to measure how organized you are. If you can't find what you need within 30 seconds, you're not organized enough, period. Whether that's a document, whether that's a piece of information. If I were to ask you, when was the last time you connected with Susan Jones, a former client? Could you find that information in 30 seconds? If I asked you what your GCI was in 2019, could you give me that information in 30 seconds? If I asked you, when does the other agent that you work with need to check in with you about a deal? What is the situation that triggers that reach out to you to just check in on something? Could you tell me what that is? Could that person tell me what that is? The point here is when you are organized, you have the information you need, or you know exactly where to get it and can get it in 30 seconds. And so when you said a couple of slides ago, my CRM's not as organized as it might be, or my goals or something like that. Yeah, got it. So what you're telling me is that information that you need, or that clarity that you need, my goal is this, therefore I need to be doing this, is not there. Or if you say, my goal is, X thousand in GCI this quarter. Do you know what you have to do today on your calendar and tomorrow and the next day to get yourself there? If you know exactly what that is, great. Your calendar's in good shape. If you're not sure, if everything in your calendar is not tied to those particular goals, then you're not organized enough. So what are some things you can do? Well, we're going to talk more about that next week. I'm going to certainly ask you how you successfully organize your business next week. But at least for today, and you can reflect a little bit. This is kind of a reflection assignment. Select one area of the business that you think needs to be better organized and ask yourself, what's getting in my way here? And you can go back to that particular slide that I had before, which was this one. Could it be one of these things, or a combination of these things is getting in my way? Could it be something else? But ask yourself, for that area of your business that's not up to par as you would like it to be, what is it that's getting in the way? Because if you don't know what's getting in the way, you're not going to shift anything. Maybe it is procrastination. Maybe it is inconsistency. Maybe it is a lack of clarity. There's things you can do, obviously, for each of these things. Or is it something else? So ask yourself, what has prevented me from being more organized in this area? And then just explore some options. What could be a different way for me to approach things? Or what's a step that I could take to get past that, to get over that hump? I'm not asking you to make any changes right now. One mistake we typically make is we identify a problem and we get right to problem solving. We put the plan into action without enough reflection on it. Some important questions to ask ourselves is, as we said last week, is, am I really committed to this outcome? Right? It's easy to say my CRM is not as organized as I'd like it to be. But if you've been in business for 27 years and your CRM is still not organized, as a coach, I think it's reasonable for me to ask, are you really committed to organizing your CRM? If you haven't done it in 27 years, did you have like a 30-year timeline on that? And so you're still okay, or what? So give some thought to it, and we'll come back next week and we'll talk a little bit more about that. Okay, so in the meantime, let's talk about this a little bit. I'm really curious what's coming up for you as I throw this stuff out there. As you think about this and how it relates to your business, what's coming up for you as either an obstacle or an area of your business that you know you need to do a little better in? Let's hear from a couple of you. Miriam, my CRM needs attention because I'm going back to my old CRM, not Compass CRM. Okay, got it. So, obviously sometimes we change technology, we change tools. Sometimes that can be a problem. Hopefully that won't take you 27 years to make that shift and be able to leverage the value of the information that's in there. Thank you. Let's hear from someone else. What's coming up for you as we talk about this? This is not some abstract conversation, right? This is something that's real and in your business. It's happening right now. Your level of organization within your business is contributing to whatever results you've been getting. So what's coming up for you as we talk about this? I need to write down goals and processes. Got it. Consistent follow-up for my. I know how to use the Compass CRM to send bulk communication, but since it's easy, I do it at the last minute. Got it. Lack of standard procedures, which create fire drills. You never want to be spending your whole life in fire drills, folks, because obviously it's not a comfortable place to be. It's not obviously an ideal place to be. Need to have a meeting with each team member, and I've been putting it off. Mary, can you please tell me why is it that you've been putting off having meetings with your team members? I'm just curious.
Hi, and I apologize. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I'm kind of in transit, so I apologize for that. The team isn't producing as well as I expected. Well, maybe I didn't expect, but I just think they're taking such a long time to get their act together this year. And just looking at the contracts I have for them, they're not cutting it. So I guess I'm avoiding talking with them because I don't have their contracts rewritten, and I need to take the time to do that, and I haven't. Because I've been busy selling, and all the excuses everybody makes.
Yep, got it. Thank you. That excuse, I'm busy selling, can be sometimes the most destructive delusion that any salesperson in any field can have.
Oh, that hurts.
Because I'm doing all the things that I need to do as a salesperson, I'll do nothing else. But the problem is you're not just a salesperson, you're a business owner. And so it requires you to be thinking broadly beyond that. You may be great at selling, you may be so comfortable at it, and that's just why you do it. But unfortunately, if you want to say I'm a business owner, obviously there's other things that come along with that. Thank you, Mary. Donna, I see your hand up. Can you come off mute? Can't hear you. Still there, Donna? Now we can't see you. Donna, you still there?
I can't get off the video thing.
All right. Well, we can't see you, but we hear you. Oh, there you go. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I couldn't get off my video. I couldn't put it in the chat because I'm driving, but I find, I need to work on my seller packet and my buyer packet and my neighborhood guide and then I start one, and I don't know if it's procrastination or I purposely, in my neighborhood guide, then I think I have to get this in Canva, and I don't know how to use Canva. So then I go into Canva to try to teach myself Canva, and then I'm like, nothing has gotten done by the end of the day. Just too many. Yep. And I try and I make my lists, and I know I'm going to work on this today, but I get so sidetracked.
Yep, got it. Thank you for saying that. So again, you're not the only one who gets sidetracked. It's one of the most pernicious habits that salespeople have, is getting away from what's important to deal with what they call urgent. What we have to understand is, we have to take ownership that that's not a requirement, it's a choice. We all choose, right? We write in the morning, I should do this today. But somewhere along the way, we recalculate and we say, well, I'm not going to do that now because something else happened. So I'm going to do that instead because it's more important, right? We have to own that by saying yes to option B, we lose the result of option A. And of course, we're okay with it in the moment because we made the choice. But we have to own that all of those choices made over time build up and create some kind of a result for our business. And so if we always let the urgent overrule the important, then the important never gets completed. And so it is something to think about. I'll challenge you, Donna, to think a little bit more about whether it is procrastination or what it is. What's really happening in those moments where you say, this is important, I should do this. And then later on, you've made an adjustment, which is something else is more important. No business should ever be poorly enough organized that so many things that are unanticipated come up and always prevent us from doing what's important, right? A piece of evidence that we are organized correctly is that we're anticipating things most of the time. Sure, things come up. It's nature of the business. But it should never be that we're always behind the 8 ball. If we're always behind the 8 ball, that's a strong, strong clue that we need to be more organized and anticipatory about something happening in our business. Thank you, Donna. I saw Miriam's hand up.
I think one of the issues I'm dealing with, all of a sudden, beginning of the year, I ended up dealing with 10 listings at the same time. I've never had to do that in my life. So taking care of that took over. So I need to and that got me behind on a lot of other things. So the hard thing is, of course, is that I won't be always having 10 listings. So reorganizing my business is probably not the best way to do it. I think dealing with it and being behind and getting my act together, that's what I'm dealing with.
Well, congratulations on 10 listings at the same time. That's a bit of a record. And I can certainly forgive you from doing all the CRMs and other things when you got 10 listings to prepare at the same time. What we're really talking about here is for everybody else who has right now 0 or 1 or 2, and we still can't seem to find the ability to, do some other stuff. There will be extraordinary times where the business is extraordinarily busy, or somebody that you used to work with, they no longer work with you. And so you've just got to kind of cover the bases, or something else comes up in your personal life, right? A senior who needs care, or broken leg, or whatever it is, right? Those things will happen, and they will inconvenience your business for a short term. What we're talking about is organizing the business for success over the long term. And for most of us, that includes a huge chunk of our time over the course of a year. We are in a position to do the organization that the business requires. The question is, are we committed to that? There's one other one here that I wanted to ask about. Oh, it was Michael's, yes. Michael said, staying focused and saying no is my current answer. What is it that you find, Michael, that is coming to you that you might say yes to, but you need to remind yourself to say no to?
Well, it's this like what I call favorism. Like I tried to, while we're in the service industry, and I got taught that way my entire life, to be of service of someone. I don't see it as a negative. I know a lot of Western countries see it as a negative, but I don't. Mm-hmm. And it does sometimes get taken advantage of, where you go above and beyond, and then they take it for granted. And then what happened is like it goes on and on and on. So you have to put your foot down. Another part, I was just trying to type it here, is like the problem I think we have is we cater to other people's problems all day long, right? Mm-hmm. If the inspection came back in, we want to fix this. If the appraisal came back, we have to fix. We are fixers. I mean, like, we're problem solvers. And it does for me personally, without going down too personal, but like, if you don't have a mental balance with yourself, and you get, it's like a truck is coming towards you, which is the seller, the buyer, the tenant, the landlord, whatever the case may be, someone with Encompass even, the AM, the sales manager, whatever. And if you as a person are not balanced, and that's a big word, of course, then the rest, it's already written on the wall that the rest goes down as well. So, and that's what I found myself last year in, just getting out of that due to COVID and everything, which is still was the longest time the impact we had, and then the one impacted the other, right? So that's I think what it is by saying no, just to realize it's like, well, wait a minute, I'm giving my best here. Either you don't appreciate it, or you don't get it, or you take this for granted. It's not. Yep. So that's my number comes in.
Thank you for explaining. I'm sure a lot of other people have found themselves in the same position. And this, for me, it kind of relates to the earlier comment about, well, I'm a salesperson. I'm just doing the things I need to do as a salesperson. One thing about a salesperson is that the work is never done. You can always contact another client. You can always do another thing for a client. You can always do something more. And of course, so many of us are working till late at night, and we're working on weekends because we feel it would be valuable to our business in whatever way to do a little more. And that's, of course, fine. Here's a little kind of homework assignment for anyone who wants to take it on. The question is, why do you keep saying yes to things that not always, let's say, revert to the achievement of your particular goals, right? If you say yes to so many things and the 9 goals that you set for yourself, you only achieve 3 of them, what you learned was a great way to be really busy and not achieve 6 out of your 9 goals, right? And so here's a simple little exercise that you can do. After we get off the call, do it today. If you want to do this, it only takes 5 minutes. Print out your top 3 to 5 goals for your business in the next 12 or 18 months. And print them large on a piece of paper that you can read from across the room and put it where you're going to see it every single day, at least once. You can put it on in front of your desk. You can put it on your desk. You can put it on top of your computer. You can put it on your bathroom window, bathroom mirror, anywhere. Put it on your refrigerator. Because when that call comes in or that idea pops into your head, should I do this or shouldn't I? Should I say yes or should I say no? There's some kind of a rationale in your mind for saying, yes, I'm going to do that thing. And so we say yes again and again and again. If that yes was the right yes, then it helped us achieve all of our goals, or it helped us achieve maximum success with our business potentially. But if we found out by saying yes to a lot of things that we had to say no to others, and therefore we didn't achieve all of our goals, then what we're saying is our very act of saying yes all the time worked against our success. And that's a different way of saying what I heard from Michael, is we need to say no. The most effective way to say no is to accept what your goals are and do a simple calculation. When an idea pops into your head or a possibility to reach out to somebody or whatever comes in front of you, look at that chart and ask yourself, does this act serve any of those goals? If it's a yes, think about saying yes. If it says no, say no and see what happens. Wayne, I like that you've accepted the challenge. I'm going to check in with you next Wednesday and see how it worked for you. Okay, anybody else, same thing. Let me know next week when you hop on if you did the challenge and see if it made any difference to you, remembering what your goals are at every minute and using those as your rationale for saying yes or no. We'll see how that turns out. So great talking with everybody this morning. Have a great week. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, all.